Okay, so we are going to get started with our yoga class today. Please take yourself all the way down onto your mats. Make sure that you have a good spot where you can see and or hear me, and that you're fairly comfortable. We'd like to start our yoga practice off feeling comfortable, relaxed, even feelings like feeling safe. Like you don't have to be on high alert of anything. You're just very, very happy where you are right now. While we're laying here, I'm giving everyone some time. I want you just to focus on your breathing. This is your time. You're not being asked to do anything else but lay here, relax those muscles, release the tension from your neck and shoulders, even if you have to kind of rock your head side to side until you can find the flat part of your head. And then just take those slow, deep breaths. Technically, we want an inhale through the nose, allow our stomach to rise, and then an exhale through the nose, allowing our stomach to sink down, feeling the whole body becoming softer. Couple more slow, deep breaths, and we'll notice ourselves hopefully breathing deeper, feeling more relaxed. And if ever you notice that your brain is just, it's going 100 miles an hour, I want you to start thinking about your breathing. So I know when I get distracted or when I start thinking about other things, I'll think about my breath, and what I'll do is count my breathing. So inhaling 4, 3, 2, 1, exhaling 4, 3, 2, 1. And you can notice how much your stomach lifts. You can notice how the cold air feels coming through the nose, how the hot air feels coming out. With our next big inhale, I want us to reach our arms all the way up over the head. Big stretch. Feel free to reach those arms if you're interlacing them. Maybe the hands touch the floor today. Maybe they're raised a little bit. Perhaps we need to reach over to one side at a time to get a little bit bigger. Taking your time, releasing those arms down. And now we're going to move into some leg stretches. So while we're laying down on our back, go ahead and gather the knees into the chest, giving yourself a nice big hug. And we'll start rocking right to left. Right to left. Kneading out your knots in your back, noticing any tight spots in the hips. All right, keeping a hold of our knees, let's start to roll through our feet and our ankles. Any cricks or cracks. And we'll come into that single leg stretch, holding onto your right knee, lowering the left leg. You may notice the stretch already through the front of your left hip, and then draw your right knee open and out a little bit towards your right shoulder. That's going to help stretch through the groin. Now this is our warm up. Just like any other form of exercise, we're just easing into the workout. We're practicing the body positioning that we'll take later in our practice. Move the knee over towards the other shoulder. Give that hip a little squeeze, noticing where you're feeling the sensation and how much you're feeling. Remembering to breathe. Coming through the middle and release down. We'll take that left knee in when you're ready. Give it a nice squeeze. And then we can open the left knee out towards the left shoulder, press the right leg down into the ground. Why we press that down is to help really actively lengthen the muscles through the front of your thigh into your hip. We'll draw the knee over and across towards the opposite shoulder. Coming through the middle and release down. Let's take our feet flat onto the floor, hands down by our sides, coming into those glute bridges. So make sure your heels are in fairly close to your bum. Arms down. Let's inhale, lift our hips all the way up, press down through the shoulders, and exhale, slowly lower. I want you to imagine each one of your discs in your back moving at one time. Inhale, lift, and exhale, slowly lower. Couple more times. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale. Remember to squeeze your glutes one more time. Inhale, activate those hip muscles. And exhale, slowly lower. Now we'll take our arms out to the side. Walk your feet out a little bit wider so they're on the edge of your yoga mat. And now we'll do very gentle rocking of the legs through windshield wipers. Very slow to the right and then to the left. And I'll invite you to do this just on whatever kind of speed or tempo feels good for you. Holding wherever it feels good as we rock those legs right to left. Getting the hips used to moving side to side, a little twist through the back. Trying to keep your shoulders down on the ground. We'll do one more each way. And then slowly release that. Feel free to tuck over onto your sides to help press ourselves all the way up. This is my warm-up sweater here. And we'll come into our tabletop work. So if you want to join me, hands under shoulders, knees under hips, pulling the belly right up into your spine, keeping back flat. And just double check that we're not sinking into our shoulders, but we're pressing away from our hands and pushing our shoulders up to the ceiling. From here, let's do some cats and cows. We'll inhale, open the chest, look forward. Exhale, tuck the tailbone, belly buttons in, round the shoulders, tuck the chin. Inhale, untuck and lift tall through crown of head. Exhale, tuck and round all the way up. Inhale, open. Exhale, round. We'll do one more. Inhale, open. Exhale, round, really high. Holding tabletop. Let's walk our hands a little bit further forward. Keep our tailbone high up to the sky as we find puppy dog or modified dog. I want you to scoop your hips out, scoop your back, and bring your chest down towards the floor. Some of us will leave our forehead on the ground. If you need a little bit more, you can put your chin on the ground. What I like to imagine is that we're kind of making a slide. So the car would start on the top of our hips and would come all the way down our back, past our shoulder, and then the ramp would end at our head. So you're scooping yourself out. Now, to get out of this, we're going to gently start to walk our hands all the way back in and find ourselves back up in tabletop, preparing for thread the needle. Take our right arm up, nice big inhale. Exhale, thread all the way underneath that left arm, laying into your right shoulder, your right ear. You can have your left hand reach forward, or you can take that left arm all the way up to the ceiling. Slow your breathing. Notice what you're feeling. I want you to pay attention to what your body's telling you. And we'll take our hands down to the ground. Bring both hands flat and table. We'll come into the other one. Big inhale, lift that left arm up. Exhale, thread all the way underneath your right arm, laying into that left ear. You can reach your right arm forward or have it come all the way up to the ceiling. Good, take both hands down. And at this point, we can press back into child's pose. Sink those hips down into your heels. Reach forward with your arms. If we can actively push away from our hands, we're going to get a better stretch. But if you'd rather just be a little bit softer, you'll enjoy some relaxation here instead. And we'll keep stretching our shoulders and our lats by walking our hands over to the right side of our mat. Take that left hand on top and pull down past that left side. This has definitely become one of my favorite side stretches. It's a great way to lengthen one side of the body in a really gentle, relaxing way. We'll walk our hands over through the middle to the left side of the mat, placing that right hand on top, and then sit back into that right hip. Now coming through the middle, let's prepare for the first lunge that we'll do today. Coming up through tabletop, sweep your right foot all the way up between your hands, however you need to get it there. Make sure that the knee is right on top of ankle. If you need to keep your hands on the floor today, that's fine. Otherwise, we're going to lift them up. Secure those shoulders down our backs. I know posture is always something most of us need to be aware of. So just making sure that we're keeping the shoulders down as we reach the hips forward, exposing or working on the left hip, getting a bit longer. And then if you're able to, let's reach those arms up. From here, we'll take our hands down to the floor. We're going to twist this. Left hand stays beside the foot. Right hand opens up. Now, making sure that that right arm isn't doing something crazy. Instead, what we want is we want it lifting straight up to the ceiling or into the back pocket. Keeping that big toe on the ground, knee stacked right on top of ankle. Some of us might be feeling a stretch through the outside of our right hip. I'm mostly still feeling it through my left hip. So it depends where you need it today, where you're gonna feel it. Slowly bring your hand around. Now we're going to come into that hamstring stretch. So we start to back our hips up, walk that front toe up towards the ceiling. That's feeling quite intense for me today. So I'm actually going to walk my hands in closer and bring them all the way up onto my hips. Keeping my back flat, hinging forward. So the flatter we can keep our back, the better. Still bringing those shoulders down, belly's in. This is one of those poses that if you start your yoga practice with yoga blocks at the top of your mat, the yoga blocks would be here for you to rest your hands on. So that's an idea for the future. As we start to bring our hands down, walk the hands to the inside of the leg, heel toe that right leg out into lizard. So now you've got both hands on the inside. That right leg is out on the side of your mat. I was feeling a little bit tight through my groin today, so I'm going to turn my foot out to the side just a little bit, open up that hip a bit more. Try to keep your hips square or level, your full flat foot on the ground. Sometimes we twist it. It's okay if you need to just rock a little bit, but your home base is foot flat on the floor. If anyone needs more, you can come down onto your elbows, or you could try lifting up that back leg and straightening it out. Sometimes that can really help too. We'll take just a couple more breaths in our lizard pose, starting to work through those hips a bit more. And now take your time. We're on our hands and we're sweeping that front foot back behind us, pressing back into child's pose. And you'll notice probably a difference between your hips at this point. Couple big breaths. Slowly coming back up into table, and we'll get ready to repeat that on the other leg. Take that left foot forward. Now I realize this lunge series we're holding and there's not a lot of movement going on, so your brain may be going. What I want you to do, if you're noticing that your brain is going, is really start thinking about your breathing. So as we open up that right hip, we lift the hands into position if we're able to, above the head, shoulders down, or heart center is a good place to be as well. I'm going to close my eyes, focusing only on what I'm feeling. And that includes my breathing coming in and my breathing coming out. You can always incorporate a little balance work while we're holding these stretches. Mostly that right hip is feeling lots and lots. Now one more inhale here. Exhale, bring the hands down. Preparing for the twisted lunge. Leave your right hand beside the foot. If you had a yoga block, again, you could put that hand on your yoga block. And then bring our left arm all the way up or into our back pocket if that's bothering anyone's shoulders. Still opening up, working through our mobility, our range, still noticing some nice stretching happening through the front of that right hip. Just a couple more breaths in that twisted lunge. Now bringing our hand down, we're going to find our hamstring stretch. So switch it so our hips are coming back, straightening out your front leg, walking that toe up. If you need to make any adjustments with your hands, on this side, I think I'm going to again come up a little bit higher onto my hips to start. Sometimes your hands may be low, but you're not feeling as good a quality of a stretch as if your hands were higher, depending on how much you're able to sit your hips back, flatten out your back as well. So I want you to play with all these things. We all look so different when we're doing these stretches. Couple more breaths. All right, and now slowly, carefully walking our hands to the inside of that front leg as we bend it. Heel toe the foot out to the side. Line those hands up. Walk that leg back. You can have your back leg with your knee on the floor, or as I mentioned, you can straighten it out, lifting the leg up. You could also have your elbows down on the floor if that was something that was more interest to you. And then if you look at my front foot, if you need to bring the toe out a bit, if that helps, that's okay. We just want to make sure that you're not letting that knee collapse. All right, slowly let's come back into child's pose. Take your time, sinking back through the hips. And as we're holding child's pose, if you have socks on like I do, I'm just going to quickly remove those because we're going to come into a downward dog sequence next. So if you're doing down dog today, let's come into that position now. Curling the toes, lifting the hips, push away from the hands, chest comes back between the shoulders. And while we're here, let's go ahead and walk the dog in place, pedaling from toe to heel. Now, depending on what sort of footwear or what you've been doing this week, this could be feeling quite intense, or maybe this is feeling pretty good on your toes, your arches, your heels, your calves. I want us to hold our down dog. Feet are about hips width distance apart, pressing those heels down towards the ground. Really try to scoop your hips up. So lift your tailbone up nice and high to the sky. Now let's shake the head, releasing some tension from the neck and shoulders. Shake the head no. And then end on the positive. Nod that head yes. And now let's take ourselves forward through plank. We can take the knees to the floor if we'd like to, as we find chaturanga all the way down to the mat. And we'll lift up into cobra. Pressing all the way back into down dog or child's pose, so that we can do that vinyasa flow one more time. Remember, vinyasa means flow. Inhale forward. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift up. And exhale, press back. At this point, we're going to take that right foot, kick it high up to the sky, and then step it all the way between the hands. Help it get there if you need to into lunge. Knee right on top of ankle. Now you can keep your hands on the ground or you can lift them all the way up. Again, secure those shoulders down our back. Try to sink, not sink, that's not the word I want. Let's get lower through the hips, but still very tall through the body, and then push forward so that you're just balanced on those tippy toes of your back foot. Now lifting the arms up nice and tall, we'll hold crescent lunge for a couple of breaths. This is fairly intense in your hip stretch, feeling a little activation through those quadricep muscles. Working on our balance. We're going to get ready for another twist. This one is in prayer. So take our hands up to prayer, glue them together at the top, and then come down through heart center. Taking that left elbow across, try to bring it onto your right knee. Now, if this is not working for anyone, because just sometimes it doesn't work, let's take our left hand down and our right arm up instead. So you can hold a twisted lunge, or if you're able to today, you can hold a prayer lunge. Now just double check that you're not all twisty through your shoulders. So you want your collarbones to be nice and open, that shoulder to stay wide. Now all together, let's bring both hands down on either side of our front foot. Sweep our foot back behind us and press back into down dog or child's pose. Lots of stuff going on in those hips. Getting ready to repeat that on the other side. Let's take our left leg all the way up to the ceiling. Bend the knee as we kick it through. Step the foot up between our hands, help it get there. Lifting ourselves all the way up. Again, take that shoulder check. Draw the collars down. Lifting the arms into place. Low through the hips and then rock forward into the ball of the back foot. Okay, noticing our balance, let's prepare for that twist. Ready? Prayer position, come down through heart center. And you start to hinge forward, drawing that right elbow towards the knee. Maybe it connects, opening up through the shoulders. And if we need to, we could take that right hand to the floor, left hand up to the ceiling. Again, this is a great opportunity for that yoga block if you had it. Just play with this. Twists are really fun, but they can also be a little frustrating. They create lots of tension. They wring ourselves out, kind of like wringing a wet towel and getting all the water out. But we're doing with all of the, I don't want to call it garbage, but waste products in our bloodstream and in our muscles. Bring our hands down, sweep it back, down dog or child. So if you can imagine throughout the week, you're working out, you're getting all of the acid and all of that fun stuff that results from exercise. And it's in our blood, it's in our muscles. And now we're doing our yoga, we're doing our recovery, and we're flushing all of that out. It's like the cleanup crew coming in and cleaning everything up again so that we have a nice shiny gym to start with. Now from here, let's come forward into plank. Chaturanga, slow lower. Scoop ourselves all the way up. And exhale, press back, down dog or child. From here, we're going to walk our hands and feet all the way together. Come halfway up to monkey. Take your time, nice flat back. Pull the shoulder blades together, pull the stomach in. Softening those knees. Big inhale, lift all the way up to prayer. Now this time I want you to come down through twisted chair. Bring your left elbow across to that right knee. We're going to switch. Ready? Inhale, lift all the way up. Exhale, right elbow across to left knee. So it's opposite elbow. Inhale, lift. Exhale, bring it down. Sitting back through your heels. Inhale, lift up. Exhale to the left. Inhale, trying to keep your knees in line with one another. Exhale to the right so that one's not sticking further forward. Inhale, lift up. And last time, exhale, left. Inhale, lift up. And exhale, release. Good. Take a couple of shoulder rolls. If you need to grab a drink, go ahead and do that now. We're going to do just one standing pose today. All right, this one is our eagle. So if you've never done eagle before, I'm going to just show you really quickly what the arms look like. So the arms, they'll be out to the side. We'll bring our right arm across and then our left arm across, and you give yourself a hug. And then some of us are going to stay here. Some of us will continue. So you'll bring your top arm on top, your bottom arm, so that the knuckles kind of line up with each other. The next step, if you're able to do this part, is to bring the hands so that now the palms, see how now my palms are together? And then what you want is you imagine that you've got a third eye. So right in between your eyebrows, you're going to bring your arms up so that you're focusing on having your elbows come up near your third eye. Okay, so these are eagle arms. I'll do it again. I just wanted to show you a little bit closer. So now let's all come up and stand, because there are also legs involved with what we're about to do. So let's roll our shoulders down, stand up so tall, feet come hips width distance apart. Take our right leg and lift it up off the floor. Cross the knee over the left knee. Now we're going to sit into a single squat. The right foot can be a kickstand. So see how I've kind of got it on the floor? You can leave that foot on the floor the whole time in this squat. Otherwise, you're going to try to squeeze that leg as much as you're able to. And some of us will be able to, can you see that in the camera? Wrap your big toe around it. Just make sure that your hips stay fairly square. So holding that squat, let's take our arms out to the side. Bring your right arm across your body. Left arm on top. Give yourself a big hug. Now, if you're able to, or if you want to, let's take those arms and bring them up knuckle to knuckle or palm to palm and lift those arms right in front of your third eye. Sit lower in your legs and really squeeze those thighs. So it's like a snake getting tighter around its prey. Squeeze those legs like you're the snake. Squeeze your arms just like a snake. Sit a little bit lower. Good, lift those arms a little bit higher. Feeling our heart rate start to come up a little bit as we kind of restrict our blood flow here. Get lower, squeeze, 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 and then big inhale, and shake it out. That was so well done. Here's the thing, we have two sides of the body, so we're going to do the other side now. Balance ourselves out, roll the shoulders down. We'll go just as slow, step by step. Take that left leg up, bring it across the right, start to sit down into that single leg chair or single squat. Belly button stays forward. Let's try to wrap the leg. Maybe this leg's a little bit trickier for me. You can try to, I'm trying to show you in the camera. See how my foot's wrapped around my calf muscle there? You can sit low, but keep your belly facing forward. Arms up. Okay, take your, balance. Oh no! Hold it here. Let's take our, nope, let's just stay here today. Take our left arm across, and then we bring our right arm on top. Give yourself a hug. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Otherwise, we can take knuckle to knuckle or palm to palm. Ooh, the shoulder feels a nice stretch there. And then try to lift those arms up. And you're gonna squeeze those legs. Squeeze as much as you can. Sit nice and low. And now imagine that snake again. So your legs are the snake. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Get tighter as we stay low in our squat. And then take those arms and try to squeeze them as you're reaching the hands up a little bit more. It's a fantastic stretch through the upper back and through the shoulders. Keep squeezing. Amazing, and then release. Shake, shake, shake. And see how I just kind of laughed it off on my balance? Don't ever get frustrated. Sometimes our balance is just a little off depending on what we've been doing. So now you know what one side is that you're working with. At this point, I want to make sure you're comfortable. So again, if you need to have a drink, get one. That was a lot with our eagle. We're going to be coming all the way back down to the floor. How we'll get there is taking ourselves to the very top of our mat. Hands down by our sides, palms facing forward, feeling all four corners of our feet, taking this nice check, holding mountain pose. And we'll bring our arms up, big inhale. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Holding forward fold for a moment. Feel free to shake that head no. Feeling a wonderful stretch up the back of our legs. Some of us may even feel it down our backs. And we'll soften the knees, coming down into table. And then just sweep ourselves around so that we can sit forward. Okay, nice to see everyone sitting now. We have a couple of exercises that we're going to do on the ground. Now, again, if you had props, even a sock would work. Maybe I'll grab my sock just in case so I can show you. If you had a yoga strap or a yoga block, some people use that for some seated exercises. So I'll have my sock just in case. The very first exercise we're going to do is called the cow face pose. Now, a cow face pose involves a tricep stretch and legs. So let's get into the legs first. Take your feet and just separate them with your knees bent. While we're here, we're going to take our right knee and kind of tuck it forward. So now the knee points directly to the front. See that? And my back leg is just kind of tucked into the side. So your knee can be as bent as your knee is happy with today. Now take this left foot and you can bring it on the other side of the knee with your knee pointing straight up. Or you can take the knee on top of knee. Both of your feet are flat with your shoelaces on the ground. You just pretend you have shoelaces on. You're trying to get those shoelaces on the ground, knee on top of knee, and both sides of your bum should be down on the ground. Now, if that's not working for you, you reverse it. You put your foot flat, knee up. If that's still not working for you, see my bottom right leg? I'm gonna straighten it out. So you could just sit here with your right leg straight and your left knee up like this. So I've given you lots of options. Hopefully one of those is gonna make you happy. I'm gonna pretzel myself here into my Turkish twist leg setup. And now how we're going to do our cow face pose is we now bring our arms all the way up. See if you can have balance. Now, because my left knee is in front, I'm going to bend my right elbow into a tricep stretch. You can hold it here. Just keep your chin lifted off your chest. Keep this arm running straight up and down so we're not pulling it. Ouchies. We want to lift it up. You can take that back arm, bring it around you. And you're going to try to interlace your fingers. That's a bound position. Otherwise, this is why I have my lovely sock here. You can hold the sock in your right hand and then see if you can see it here. You can grab the sock in your other hand and that could help. And that way you don't have to grab fingers. Now see, I've got my sock here. Now we've been holding this for a long time. Take your final inhale and exhale, release. Oh, and help those legs. Oh my goodness. All right, so now I've just cleared my canvas. Legs are bent, feet are off. We're going to try the other side. We'll go through it step by step in case this other side needs some help too. So bring the left knee to face directly to the front. See how my body kind of switched? That's okay, I'm gonna bring my shoulders back. So your left knee comes straight to the front, right foot comes on top, and then bring that right bum down to the ground. Square your shoulders. If you're able to, you'll slide knee on top of knee. Try to get your heels in nice and close to your bum both sides on the floor, shoelaces on the ground. So you're stacking knees. If that didn't work, reverse it. And if you're still finding that this is not feeling very good today, you'll straighten your left leg out. All right, so I'm gonna keep progressing through. Bring that left heel, tuck it into my bum, and bring that right knee on top, tuck the right heel in towards my bum, both sides down on the ground. Now we've been sitting here for a while. Let's bring our arms up, shoulders down. Bend that left elbow. Try to give see how my left hand, I try to give my back a little pat. So I want my hand right at my shoulder, directing that left elbow straight to the ceiling. Again, we're not yanking on it. We're not pulling on it. We're sitting up so tall. And if you're able to, take your right hand and bind it together, gripping onto your fingers. If that's not working, but you'd like to try it, take a sock or a string of any kind in your left hand, and then hold on to that in your right hand. And then you can just pull that sock Oh my goodness, it feels so good on that left shoulder and tricep. You can use props to help you with your stretches. It's a great idea. We'll hold this for just a couple more breaths so we're here as long as we were on the other side. And slowly release. Oh, and switch out of that. Now we have one more stretch that we're going to do in this seated position. And this one is called Lord of the Fish. So Lord of the Fish, how we're going to set this up is take our knee again forward. So we're gonna get into our Turkish twist legs. So right knee forward, left knee on top, or any version of that. So it could be left knee pointing up or right leg out straight. So we've got that left knee raised towards the ceiling in the Turkish twist legs. Now how we're going to go through is take our right arm across the body. Now your right elbow's pressing into that left knee. Wherever that left knee is positioned, right elbow's positioned into it. You're going to try to scoop your hand through and take your hand around. I'll see if I can show you from the side. See how my hands are trying to reach? So again, you can have your sock, get it through. Who knew we'd be doing so much work with socks today? And take your hand and do this. I'll turn to the side so you can see. Ugh. And you twist so high up, and oh my goodness, is this an amazing arm and shoulder stretch. So any version of that spinal twist in this Turkish leg, this is your Lord of the Fish. I'm feeling a lot through my left hip, a lot through that right shoulder. And let's release that. Holy moly. Okay, clear the canvas. I've got my handy dandy sock. Take your left knee, point it forward, right foot across or knee on top of knee, depending on how twisty we're feeling today, both sides of the bum down. And again, you can have your leg out straight with this right knee pointed up. I'm gonna have my sock in hand, put it through my legs, try to get that left arm across, the left arm across, and then hold your sock, and then try to get that right hand behind your back. I'm gonna cheat a little bit. There we go, helps myself get the sock. And then twist, and you kind of try to bend your elbow. You want your elbow eventually to get through. There we go, I got it. And I'll try to turn to the side so you can see. And if you're getting flustered or frustrated, don't worry, learning new poses, especially these bound twists, can be a work of art. I'm sure you're all doing a great job. I'm feeling a lot through the right hip and the left shoulder right now. All right, slowly release that. Whew. And what I want us to do is take those legs out loose again and just shake them. Shake, shake, shake. We'll bring the legs together. And I said we were gonna come down to the floor. What I wanna do is one forward fold before we do that. Let's lift our arms all the way up, nice big reach. Oh, and exhale, reach forward. And we should feel like we have so much more room in our hips and our back and our shoulders now. So we'll take a few deep breaths here. Slowly rolling up. And take your time. If you've got sweaters and socks and blankets that you'd like to put back on, go ahead and do that. We'll come down to the floor. I like to start with a knee to chest pose or hugging the knees when we come down to the ground. And we'll finish our stretching with our spinal twist. That will take us right into our final relaxation. So once you're comfortable, go ahead and lay down on the ground. As I mentioned, bringing the knees into the chest is always a nice idea. Kind of release any last tension. Notice how everything's feeling. And we'll take both knees up 90 degrees with our arms out to our sides, coming into our spinal twist. Dropping both knees to the right. We can look over that left arm. Lift both knees up and drop over to the left side. Look over that right arm if it helps. Starting to really slow our breathing and notice what we're feeling. Bringing those legs up. And now release down into your final resting pose. Shavasana is where all come with our arms either on our belly or out to the sides. Let our legs fall wide, our toes turn out. Release our bellies, maybe our backs peel off the ground. Necks have settled. We can close our eyes and focus on our breathing. Staying here. And enjoying this final relaxation. Just taking a moment, remind yourself of how you're feeling right now, how grateful you are to yourself for taking the time out of your day and practicing your yoga, going through your recovery. Noticing how you're feeling. Maybe it's calm, peaceful, relaxed. Some of us may even be feeling things like re-energized, ready, or restful. Take a moment, notice how or what it is that you're feeling. And again, be grateful. Slowly starting to wiggle our fingers and our toes. Go ahead and roll through those wrists and ankles. If it feels good, you can reach those arms tall up above the head again, or take the knees into the chest, rocking, whatever feels good. And then we'll start to slowly come all the way up into our seated pose. Taking our time. Oh, good. Just roll those shoulders down as we sit up nice and tall. And we will say our final goodbye together. Inhale, hands all the way up above head to prayer. Exhaling down through heart center. Namaste. Thanks, everybody.